Good morning. It is 7 a.m. sharp. Just getting started. We're planning on 20 miles today, and today is when we get into a 35-mile dry stretch. Luckily, there's two really big water caches in between. Gut Hooks has them at like 50 to 100 gallons each. So we should be good. But we're still gonna carry a lot of water just in case. Yeah, I am kind of achy this morning. I felt really good last night, but then just during the night, I had a hard time sleeping because my bones hurt. Like, not my muscles, not my tendons, all of my bones, like my ankle bones and my leg bones and my hip bones and my shoulder bones. Just like, I don't know what that is, but just a little achy this morning. The people in my group got ready really early this morning. I'm still out first, but like they're hot on my heels, and like it was the kind of thing, like I'm used to always leaving camp first, and like when I got out of my tent, they were already out of their tents, and I was like, like what time is it? And it was actually like my regular time. They're just a little early. But anyways, I have 4 miles till the last water source before the dry stretch, so pushing for there, and I'm gonna eat breakfast there and camel a liter, and then carry a lot of liters from there. It's looking a lot more like the Sierras as far as trees and vegetation. So an interesting thing about today is it's actually going to be quite a bit cooler. I used my InReach weather app for this exact location, and it was saying high of 70s, which will still feel warm while hiking, but is a significant improvement, and it's actually pretty chilly right now. So that's a nice change. Another interesting thing is there's actually like a 10% chance of rain for most of the day, which is interesting because yesterday I saw mare's tails, which are cirrus uncinus clouds, and they can be a predictor of like basically more moisture coming into an area, and they can be a predictor of rain like 24 hours before usually. And I saw them and totally discounted them. I'm like, nope, it's June. I saw the weather forecast in town. It's not gonna rain. But now, I mean, it's still not a big chance, and if it does, it'll sprinkle, but there's actually a small chance of rain today. But mostly, I'm looking forward to just a little bit cloudy and cooler temperatures, so that's pretty cool. And these are just regular cirrus clouds so far. You might be able to say cirrus stratus, but they're a little bit more definition and features to them than those usually have. So, you know how 2 days ago I shared that I had forgot to replace my gas can in town and then it had run out on me? Well, I just thought back and did the math, and I figured out the last time that I bought a gas can was in Big Bear. So I had that, it's the small one, so I think that's 4 ounce. I had a 4 ounce gas can for like 300 miles. And like I wasn't cooking dinners that often, so that's why it lasted that long. But yeah, I definitely should have remembered to replace it a lot earlier. It's really pretty today. Much better than yesterday. This trail is my trail. This trail is your trail. From South Encampo to the Canadian border. From California to Oregon and Washington. This trail was made for you and me. As I was walking that smooth pathway, I saw below me the hard work of volunteers. I saw above me the trail markers. This trail was made for you and me. But seriously, the more I walk this trail, the more I am just in awe of the trail and of the thousands of hours that volunteers have put into it to make it. I'm just so thankful too. Thank you so much if you were part of that. And I definitely want to volunteer in the future. It's kind of funny, like, I think as a day hiker, you just don't appreciate the work that goes into keeping a trail nice. And if it's ever not nice, I think as day hikers, we complain like, oh, there's all of these trees that are down and clearly people aren't taking care of this trail. Versus now, like, as a thru hiker, you just, I don't know, I think you just have more of a respect for nature and just like, dang, like, nature is constantly messing with the trail and throwing trees down with the wind and washing it out. And so the fact that we walk so nicely so much of the time is because of people, like, just like volunteering and putting their heart into this trail, and it's so amazing. Like, every day that I walk it, I'm just like more appreciative of it. So some of my guy friends on trail that aren't necessarily hiking with my group were talking a really big game yesterday, and they're like, we're gonna do 26 miles so that we can do the whole dry stretch in one go. And I was like, dang, okay, like, I can't do that. But I just passed them. Like, they were supposed to do 7 more miles than me. They did 1 more mile than me. So they're like still getting ready, but they're all awake. So I just kind of like commented to myself, like, dang, like, I hiked 7 miles fast today. And they're like, shut up. Like, they did not think it was funny, but I think it's funny. Not that it matters, like, it's totally fine to have big goals. But it also, I don't know, in some ways it's like, okay, I'm not doing so bad, because I was pretty tired after 21 miles. So it's nice when other people are tired after 22 and they're not just like doing 26 miles like super easy, and somehow I'm struggling way more than them. Dang, I just realized that it's Father's Day today. At least I think. It's Sunday, and I think it's Father's Day. So I need to remember to send my dad an in-reach message. But that's going to be tricky because that's a hard thing to remember because it's in the bottom of my pack. But hopefully I do. But I also know that he watches these videos. So happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you. I just discovered the real reason that my group was so early with getting ready today. I was like really surprised. I was like, oh wow, like they're really moving. Because, well, it's probably not the only reason, but I think it has a role. 4 miles from our campsite, which is the last water source, now only 2 miles because I've done 2 miles, there's a porta potty. So I think everyone is pushing, well, they're not pushing in some ways, but they're trying to make it to this porta potty in time. So I think they are all men on a mission. Alright, got a trail register and even a bench. Going to sign it. Alright, I'm officially on the road for a 1/4 mile to a campsite that has the last water source for 35 miles. Gonna eat breakfast there, camel up, and then since there are 2 big water caches, I probably won't go full capacity, but I'm gonna carry a lot of water. I'll do at least 4 liters probably.
Correct, same soda. I like that, that's a good name.
Alright, I'm back on trail after getting water. A lot of people are just doing like 2 or 3 liters because they know there's a water cache. I chose to do 4 liters because I don't want to take too much water from the water cache, because otherwise we're using it up too quickly. So I have 4. If I was totally not counting on the water caches, I should have taken 6. So there's a little bit of relying on it, but I'm trying not to abuse it. I'm a little bit peeved because I found out that some of the hikers at a separate site from us had an illegal campfire last night, they were like super chill about it. Like, oh yeah, it was so fun, and oh yeah, it's technically not legal, but like there was a former camp ranger there, so we were safe. And I'm just like, not in California, dude. Like, whatever. Even if there was a former camp ranger there, like they probably weren't a ranger in California. We have such a big fire risk. It's totally not cool that people made a fire when they weren't allowed to and made a ring when they weren't allowed to. So I'm a little annoyed. I definitely told them that I didn't think it was okay, but I didn't really express my annoyance. Kind of just kept it to myself. But don't do it! Wait for there to be real fire rings, or don't have fires in California, because we have a huge campfire problem. I mean, not campfire, but like wildfire problem. Just don't do it. These gates are pretty comical. So there's a gate here for the trail, but there's no fence. So there's just no point in going over the gate. It's not stopping anybody for anything. I don't know. Maybe once upon a time there was a fence there. Lots of lovely lupins up here. Unfortunately, it's quite exposed. I think I might be exposed for the next little while. So even though it's theoretically only 70 degrees, it feels pretty warm. So this is like the third time that some of my friends have passed me, and then within like 3 minutes scared up an aggressive rattlesnake right off the trail, like where it would have been me, except for they passed me. Just like, I don't know, keep getting lucky. I mean, I keep praying that I don't get bit by a rattlesnake. So far that seems to be working. Maybe I need to start praying that my whole trail family doesn't get bit by a rattlesnake. Alright, we are 1.5 miles away. I think that's the road down there, although that seems farther than 1.5 miles, so who knows. Dang, this part of the trail is even more exposed than earlier. And it looks like it stays that way for a long time. Wouldn't be surprised if it stays like this all the way to our campsite. And our campsite actually looks pretty exposed too, but there's a bunch of Joshua trees there for a little bit of shade and shelter. But yeah, suffice to say, so it's noon right now, less than 1/2 mile away from the water cache. I think I'm gonna take a longer lunch break because it does not sound fun to keep hiking right now. Temperatures aren't horrible, but probably down here it's at least low 80s since we dropped a few thousand feet. And it's just gonna be nicer if we do this in the evening, I think, or at least late afternoon when it's cooling down. There's no shade here, so I'm hiding underneath my Tyvek. Not gonna stay here very long. It's hot. Well, my idea of siestaing by the water cache definitely did not work because there was no shade there. Did my Tyvek thing for a little bit, but you can't do that for too long. It's still pretty warm. So I cameled up 1 liter and then I refilled back up to 4 liters. And I'm just gonna keep hiking and just try to take a lot of breaks. You know, whenever I see a good Joshua tree with some decent shade, I'll try to sit in it. Only have 8.5 more miles to go, so definitely don't need to make it there too early. So if I see a good shade spot, I'm gonna sit in it. I'm sorry, I have the hiccups right now, which is why I'm talking weird. But yeah, it's pretty warm down here. Even though it was just 70s up there, it is much warmer 3,000 feet below. It's crazy. Just where we started in the morning, it felt like we were entering the Sierras. And just a few miles later, we're back totally in the desert again. I'm looking forward to the time that we descend out of the desert for the last time. When the breeze is going, it's fairly bearable. When there's no breeze, it is unbearable. Like, it is very hot. And of my friends, I'm probably one of the people who tolerates the heat the best. Like, there's days where I'm like, this is fine, and other people are like dying from the heat. So I think they're gonna really struggle because I'm struggling a little bit. We have another mile downhill and then we're climbing 800 feet, so I definitely want to find some shade before we start to climb. I do not want to do that climb in the heat of the day at all. All right, I'm gonna sit here for a little bit. It's not perfect, but it's pretty decent. And I think all my friends might get ahead of me because I think they want to push farther, but I just don't want to do that climb in the heat of the day. More power to them if that's what they choose. There's a slight breeze here, which makes this pretty good. I still don't think I'm going to siesta a super long time, but I hope I can stay at least like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I think maybe the key is taking frequent breaks is going to be better than just siestaing in one spot for too long, because none of it's perfect and all of it's still kind of hot. And I just got to make those miles. But alright, I'm moving again. Only took like a half an hour break, but my friends made a good point as they passed me that it's not actually going to get any cooler anytime soon, so it's actually probably better to do the climb now rather than later. But I'm just going to plan to take lots of breaks. And I think there's shade at the top of the 2-mile climb for sure, so I really just got to get through these next 2 miles in the heat. This does not look like it's going to be fun. And that's just like the first 100. So basically, everything that my in-reach weather told me this morning was a lie, because it was for a place on the other side of the mountain where apparently it is much cooler. But my legs are feeling decently strong. It's only 2 miles of really hard climbing and only 7 miles to camp, so I can do it. Alright, we made it to the top of the climb. Now there's still some more climbing, but none of it is all in a row. It's the whole up and down as usual. So I'd say the hard part is over. I'm still gonna see if I can find some good shade to sit in for a while, because there's no point in getting into camp at like 3. Nothing yet that I can see, but maybe soon. We only have 4.5 miles into camp, so, and it's like 2:30, so got lots of time. We've got a nice little cumulus congestus cloud, which is the precursor, sometimes, it doesn't always have to, but sometimes the precursor to a cumulonimbus cloud. Unfortunately for us, it is too far away. We're definitely not going to get underneath that cloud, sadly. The video instead. We found shade!
We found shade!
Yay! We are currently shade hopping. Basically, we only have 3.5 miles into our campsite, and we don't want to get there too early, plus we're not sure what the shade situation looks like. So when we see good shade, we just stop there. So we just took a break for about half an hour, and then we noticed on the Gut Hooks comments that in 1.5 miles there's a road with AT&T service. So then we're gonna walk just 1.5 miles and take another break, and then we can be on our phones for a little bit because we haven't had service in the last few days. Ooh, 1,000 kilometers. Nice. Alright, we had another like almost an hour break where we went on the internet. We also booked hotel rooms and looked at flipping options to potentially get to Ashland. But anyways, now there's 2.5 miles to camp. It's 5 o'clock, so now we're getting there at a reasonable hour. The last 5 miles or so has been pure sand. It's getting very old. It's hard to have traction and it's hard on the feet. Alright, I'm 0.3 away. Looks like our campsite is on top of the ridge and it's a little windy, but at this point I don't even care. I'm pretty beat. Excited to make it to camp, and if it's a windy one, so be it. At least it'll be cool. So close. Well, my site has a bunch of fire ants, but my theory is once I'm in my tent, they can't get at me. So I'm just gonna make sure my door stays closed. Wish me luck. I'm gonna be pretty tired of tortillas by the time I get to Lake Isabella. Because I wasn't expecting my fuel can to run out. I have a bunch of meals that actually don't cold soak very easily. So I've been eating double tortillas for lunch and for dinner because I happen to have a lot extra. Today, I was really tired of it already. One more day of it.